they talking real loud, spreading no lie, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading no lie, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading no lie, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights with.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah, and this is your Saturday morning vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. First things first, can you guys hear me good? Is the audio sounding okay? Is it clear? Let me know once in the chat if you can hear me loud and clear. Okay, we're about to get into it. Please hit the like button. Thank you kindly. Okay, great. So you guys can hear me. Okay, that's good. Okay, so before we get started, all right, thank you. Okay, so before we get started, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so how's everybody doing? I hope your Saturday morning is going great thus far. Okay, so let's get into it. All right, let's get into it now. First things first, let's see who's in here. Okay, April, above all that drama, we the people is in the house. Mel is here, Miss AP. All right, shout out to all my loyal royals and everyone tuning into the Queen. Okay, shout out to my moderators. Hey, Desmond. Shout out to my moderators putting in work. Okay, we the people. Hinch Marv is here. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. Let me just tell you all this. Whether you like Diddy or not, that is not necessarily the problem I want to address. What I want to address is the racial bias that I have been seeing and witnessing in the courtroom. Okay, myself. Now, I have said that I'm not a Diddy fan. At the end of the day, Diddy is definitely not one of my favorite people. But the bottom line is, when I see racial injustices, when I see racial biases, you all know that I'm going to call it out, okay? I'm a social justice warrior. Make no mistake about it. And I don't care who gets mad and who doesn't like what I have to say, because guess what? You don't have to listen. Okay, you don't have to listen. And the one thing that I'm noticing is some of these media people, okay, some of these people that work for the lamestream media, they have a whole lot to say when people don't go along with their narrative. Okay, when people don't push their narrative, or you seem to have contrary views and opinions. Okay, now y'all know I don't give a damn about the lamestream media. I am not trying to go mainstream or lamestream. That's not what I'm here for. Okay, I'm not going to kiss their behinds. I'm not going to go along with their narrative if I don't feel that that's what I want to do. If I don't like what's being said, or I see something that I have an issue with, I'm going to mention it. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Before I'm anything, I am Black. And that's always going to go first with me. And then when people want to say, JL said the judge is pro-prosecution, which is why he agreed to remove the juror. Let's be real. Yes, I'm glad you said it. Let's be real. Let's be real, because that's exactly what he is. This judge is absolutely biased. I said it. Okay, he's absolutely biased. I have sat there and watched him when the prosecution raises minuscule, okay, objections for complete BS. How the hell are you raising objections for something that the witness already testified to under direct examination? Now, when we're on the cross-examination with the defense, grilling them about something they previously said, the prosecution wants to object to it. Why are you objecting? They've already said it. Okay? What's wrong with someone asking them about what they previously said? But they'll raise these objections and the judge will sustain it most of the time. Or continuously tell the defense to rephrase it. So they have to keep trying to switch it up. Okay? And then you sit there and you see that the defense, when they raise an objection that is legit, that is absolutely relevant, the judge will overrule it. He's absolutely pro-prosecution. It's easy for anyone to see if they themselves are not being biased. Okay? There are some people who are pushing this narrative. Okay? And at the end of the day, there's a whole lot of BS going on. Specifically, let's talk about juror number 6. Okay, let's talk about juror number 6. Because here's the thing. Love Mirror said the Cal Rittenhouse judge was so biased towards the defense. Yes, absolutely. And judges should never be biased. Judges are supposed to be unbiased, because isn't justice supposed to, in fact, be blind? Okay, a person's race or ethnicity should not have anything to do with the charges that they're facing. It should be all about the facts, the evidence, the witness's testimony, and what you can, in fact, prove. And here is my thing. So they've been talking about juror number 6 for days. We've been hearing whispers about it. As I told you all on yesterday, we've been hearing that they want to get rid of juror number 6. The defense first said that they want to get rid of the person because they're Black. Now, before we had the information, I said to myself, because I try not to be biased, but I said to myself, you know, perhaps the defense is just bringing up the race card. Maybe they're just trying to play the race card, you know, just to help their case. But no, it's exactly what they said. They want this man off the jury because he is Black. Now, I have sat there and watched this juror come in there, taking notes, being very attentive, listening to the testimony, paying attention to exactly what's going on. But at the end of the day, I've also seen, you know, some people that weren't being so attentive on the jury. Okay? And then the judge wants to say that they have to protect the integrity of the court. Well, I find that interesting. I find that interesting because as I have said before, you have Black people like me facing trial, and then you have all white juries in some cases. How is that integrity when you're supposed to be judged by a jury of your peers? And then you're sitting up there facing a trial with nobody that looks like you standing in judgment upon you. I don't see the judges complaining when those things happen. But now let's talk about juror number 6, because I've seen the mainstream media reporting saying that, oh, juror number 6 lied. He told multiple stories. Well, that's not what it sounds like to me. What it sounds like to me is that this juror was being open and honest and transparent. That this juror said that they live in the Bronx, okay? That they live in the Bronx, but they also stay with their child's mother in New Jersey. They spend most of their time in the Bronx. Now, here's the question. How do you determine where someone specifically lives or resides? Well, where do they pay taxes? Where do they pay taxes? That's one way you can determine. Okay, what does it say on their driver's license? Where is their vehicle registered? These are things that you can use to substantiate that. But here's the thing. If, in fact, they felt that this person said some things that were inconsistent, well, why are they waiting till now to say something? I have to agree with Attorney Brian Steele about what he had to say about it when he stood up and addressed the judge. He said now they want to sit here, and because they don't like his facial expressions, and we know that's what it is. And how do we know? Because they don't like Diddy's facial expressions either. And let me just say this. Now, some people may get mad. Some people may get mad because they don't like what I'm about to say. They may be so against Diddy that they don't give a damn about seeing racial injustice being enacted right in front of their faces. But I don't care whether I like Diddy or not, because it's not about that. Okay, this is about what is being done that absolutely is blatant racial bias. And if you don't have a problem with it happening to Diddy, then you won't have a problem with it happening to anybody who looks like you. And that's just what it is at the end of the day. So let's talk about it. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. The prosecution, when Mr. Xavier Donaldson stood up and made his point and talked about how the Southern District of New York has basically never had such a diverse jury as they have right now in the 25 years that he has been working there. And he said for them to remove this juror is going to be a step backwards. And then so the prosecution stands up and says, Your Honor, the defense wants you to keep a juror based on race. Well, quite frankly, isn't that what they do when they're picking the jurors? Doesn't the prosecution, in fact, pick jurors based on race? Don't they usually want jurors who don't look like the defendant, specifically when the defendant is a person who looks like me? Isn't that what they usually do? So I find it interesting that they said that. But also, when Brian Steele spoke about them being upset by this man's facial expressions, well, that's exactly what that is, in my opinion. Okay? Because why didn't they say anything about his inconsistencies, as they claim, during the voir dire process? Now, when Brian Steele mentioned that, of course, they tried to, downplay it and say, oh, no, that's not it. We didn't know about it during the voir dire process. We didn't know about it. Because he said this person should have been struck from the jury when they were going through that process if there was a problem. But they didn't say anything because apparently there was no problem. Now, you mean to tell me that during the voir dire process, they never noticed what this man wrote on the questionnaire? They never saw that he said that he lived in the Bronx and that he also commutes to New Jersey and stays there some time too? They didn't see that? Of course they did. They can sit there and say whatever they want, but I'm calling bull. I'm calling BS. I'm saying that they're lying. Now, I would think, I'm not from New York or New Jersey, but I would think that because they're so close together, that of course people commute back and forth. I would think that is a common thing. Okay? American Isn't says, Your Honor, he's playing the race card, the 6-pack of Karens. Yes, that's exactly what he said, or what they said. He's playing the race card. Well, here's the thing. It's hard not to play the race card when that's the only card that you're holding, when that's the only hand that you've been dealt. Okay? And who do you think they're going to replace this juror with? Do you think they're going to replace this juror with another person who looks like him? Well, of course not. It's going to be an older white man. How much do you want to bet? Okay, someone that will help them to push their narrative. Okay, now here's the bottom line. Diddy may be guilty as all get out. That's not the problem. That's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about Diddy's guilt or innocence. We're simply talking about the juror that the judge is saying that he's going to dismiss. We're simply talking about how the fact of this person being black is really the real reason why he's being dismissed, in my opinion. Because if somebody is coming every day, they're on time, they're doing what they're supposed to do, they're paying attention, they're jotting down notes, as I've seen him do plenty of times. And now all of a sudden you have a problem with this man. You could have addressed this weeks ago. So you mean to tell me? And then the judge says, well, there's new information has come to light. Well, what new information is it? Because the only thing he's talking about is the questionnaire. And again, you didn't see that 5 weeks ago, Your Honor. Prosecution, you didn't see that 5 weeks ago. Nobody noticed anything inconsistent until now. So anyway, this is all crazy. This is absolutely crazy. With that all being said, let's get into it. Okay, Love Mirror said the juror shouldn't change his answers multiple times. It looks like he's being deceptive. Well, no, he didn't change his answer multiple times, beloved. Okay, please stop listening to the lying-ass lamestream media. Okay, I was right there in court. I heard what was said and what was exchanged yesterday. They didn't say that he changed his answers multiple times. That's just what the lying lamestream media is reporting. What they said was he gave inconsistent answers because he said that he lived in the Bronx, but he also said that he stayed with his child's mother in New Jersey, but spends a majority of his time in the Bronx. That's not changing your answers multiple times. And that's not making it look like you're being deceptive. In fact, that's making it look like you're being transparent because he didn't even have to say anything about New Jersey. Okay, if he's a registered voter in the Bronx, which clearly he is, that's how he was picked for jury duty. That's all he had to tell them. If he told them anything outside of that, that was not because he was being deceptive. That's likely because he was being honest and transparent. Okay? And then Mira says, stop being an R. Kelly defender. Mira, you're coming off like a complete idiot. Okay? Because for one, I haven't said anything about R. Kelly. Okay? I haven't even gotten to that story yet. Mira says, y'all don't care about little black girls. What little black girls have testified that Diddy did anything to them? And again, I just literally said, we're not talking about Diddy's guilt or innocence. Mira, you're an idiot. So go to another channel where they welcome fools like yourself. Okay, that's what you can do. Okay, that's what you can do, beloved. Because I think I specifically said, if you don't like what I'm about to say, then you can leave. Okay? So with that all being said, here's the thing. I do absolutely believe that there is some shady shenanigans going on, but that's just my opinion. Now let's get into it. And by the way, you all, Kanye West showed up yesterday and he left quickly once he realized, in my opinion, that he was going to be in that little room by himself. They put him in his own little overflow room because, of course, they didn't need the distractions. Okay, so let's talk about it. A surprise guest showed up as Sean Diddy Combs' criminal trial was underway for the day on Friday, June the 13th. Kanye West, known as Jay, who has vocally supported Combs amid his legal troubles, briefly watched the court proceedings on a screen in an overflow room before leaving the courthouse shortly afterward. Now, his arrival, and I really feel like Kanye wanted all eyes on him because at the end of the day, Kanye cannot help but be an attention whore. Now, of course, that's my opinion. Now, his arrival came a day after Combs' ex-girlfriend, testifying under the pseudonym Jane, described being flown to a birthday party on another rapper's private jet. However, it's unclear why Ye made an appearance and if he will testify or if he has any involvement in the case. They know damn well Kanye West isn't testifying, okay? They know he is not testifying at the end of the day. Now, another courtroom shocker. Judge Arun Subramanian made a move toward dismissing controversial juror number 6 in the trial late Friday afternoon. He is slated to make a final determination by June 16th. Now, as the prosecution continues to build its case against Combs, jurors heard from one of Combs' assistants, Jonathan Perez, who described cleaning up after King nights, aka freak-offs. Him, as well as a federal agent who testified about the 900 Astroglide bottles that he witnessed while raiding Combs' home. Now, the lawyers, of course, objected to the juror dismissal. Subramanian said that there are several inconsistencies surrounding details about the juror number 6 as to where he lives and with whom he lives. The juror is unable to answer simple questions, Subramanian says, adding that there are serious questions about the juror's candor and the ability to follow instructions. Now, here's what I want to tell you guys. So they said something yesterday. About Diddy, again, about his facial expressions and him nodding his head. Now, they first said something about him nodding to the jurors, and the judge went in on him a couple of weeks ago or so. But then yesterday, the prosecution, was it yesterday or the day before? Anyway, one day this week, the prosecution complained, saying that Diddy was again nodding his head, and he was doing this when his attorneys were up, doing a cross-examination. So I'm like, so you mean to tell me the man can't agree with his own damn attorneys? Like, I'm sorry. You know what that reminded me of? Quite frankly, I'm glad you asked. It reminded me of during Jim Crow, when Black people had to check their faces. They had to fix their faces. They couldn't look a white person in the eyes. If a white person was coming upon you, you had to hold your head down and look at the ground. Whatever you do, don't look them in the eyes, because that was deemed as disrespectful, and bad things could happen. That's what that reminded me of. So you're policing this Black man's face? Okay? This is all crazy. So anyway, that's just my opinion. Rena says Kanye West is the only one that checked on Diddy's kids. So anyway, I just find it all interesting. Like I said, Andre says when you lose and you start getting desperate. That's absolutely what it's given. Okay, that's absolutely what it's given. JC Talk says, if the judge selects the juror or selects the very next juror, then it will be a white male, because that's the first alternate juror. The government knows that. Exactly. Exactly what I said, beloved. Absolutely. Okay. And and shout out to you, JC Talks Trials. Okay. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. And this, at the end of the day, this stuff is just given racism and bias. Okay, like I said, some people will be mad that I'm saying that, but I don't really give a damn who's mad, because for one, if you don't like what the queen is saying, honey, you do not have to be on my channel, because I am never pressed for views. Okay, and I'm not going to sit up here and say what is popular. I'm not going to sit up here and say what is popular or what I think people want to hear. I don't have to agree with the damn lamestream media. And in fact, most times I don't agree with the lamestream media, because let's not forget, the lamestream media are the main group that say disparaging things and paint lies and narratives about Black people. We all know it. Okay, do they not? Miss AP said, when you're losing, you get emotional and drop all of your balls. Exactly. Okay. And then for them to be sitting up there concerned, and I absolutely agree with what Brian Steele said when he says that they're mad about this man's facial expressions, okay, because somebody did a video talking about the jurors' facial expressions, saying the jurors need to be ashamed of themselves. At the end of the day, listen, whether we like their decisions or not, we like their opinions or not, they're on that jury. Okay. And at the end of the day, as I keep saying, my opinion doesn't matter. No, your opinions don't matter. The only opinions that matter are those of the jurors. They're the ones who are going to determine Diddy's guilt or innocence. Okay. So with that all being said, let's continue. Like stuff, everyone, please like and share. And I want to get into this R. Kelly thing, because, honey, R. Kelly's up here talking about the government wants him dead. What's really going on? And so anyway, they go on to say that Subramanian added that it seems like a trivial matter, but it goes to the juror's basic criteria to serve. Due to the jurors changing answers and inconsistency, Subramanian said it raises questions about whether the juror was truthful in other questions more direct. Most people do not want to be on juries. That's her number one. And like I said, if the man was trying to be deceptive, he didn't have to even mention anything to them about New Jersey. How would they know? Okay, he's registered to pay his taxes and all of that in the Bronx. Okay, his license has a Bronx address on it. That's why he's a registered voter in the Bronx. That's how they chose him for jury duty in the first place. So that's all common sense. That's all common sense. So anyway, in court, Subramanian continued to explain his reasoning for the removal, which stemmed from 3 separate interviews, one from voir dire, one from the robing room, and one from colloquially. Now, with that all being said, Subramanian told the court that the juror had an offhand conversation with a member of the jury department in which the juror indicated that he recently moved in with his girlfriend in New Jersey, which is where he had been staying most of the time. And voir dire, when asked where he lived, the juror said that he lived in the Bronx with his fiance and a baby mother. Now, here's the thing. They said he had an offhand conversation with a member of the jury department. Okay, was this conversation recorded? Do they have receipts on this conversation? How do we know that this man actually said any of this? I have several questions. So is it this person's word against his? How do we know that the member of the jury department is telling the truth? How do we know? How do we know this, people? Was this conversation recorded? And if so, let's hear the tape. Because I'll guarantee you it wasn't. Okay? I'll guarantee you it wasn't. So they're saying that a member of the jury department told them that they had an offhand conversation with this man. Okay, well, where's the proof? Okay, and if someone told you that and you don't have proof, that's all the more reason for them to call the juror in and let him and ask him about it face to face and hear what he has to say. That's right, Darnell said right. It's all hearsay. And the last I checked, Honorable Judge Subramanian, I thought hearsay was inadmissible in a court of law. But, you know, in this trial, hearsay is admissible. They had used hearsay testimony, and the judge has absolutely allowed it. Okay? And the prosecution has allowed a witness to knowingly come up there and tell a story that they know was going to be debunked as lies. So I find it interesting that the judge didn't say one thing about the prosecutorial misconduct, but now allegations that the juror has told a lie because somebody from a jury department has told you such and such. Yeah, I find it all interesting. Okay, I find it all interesting at the end of the day. But let me continue. So they go on to say that Subramanian told the court that the juror had an offhand conversation with a member of the jury department in which the juror indicated he recently moved in with his girlfriend in New Jersey, which is where he had been staying most of the time. And voir dire, when asked where he lived, the juror said that he lived in the Bronx with his fiancée and baby mother. But in a different interview, when asked where he lived, the juror said that he had an apartment in New York where he stayed 5 or 4 nights a week when he was working and doing jury duty. Now, juror number 6, so people can't have more than one property. Anyway, juror number 6's baby was born in New Jersey, and he noted that his girlfriend recently got an apartment in his home state. So she's been living there, and that's where his daughter lives. But in a separate interview, he indicated he lived in New York with his aunt. A woman who first accused Combs of impregnating and rugging her with a D in her lawsuit in September has revealed her name. Chelsea Lovelace amended her New York State Supreme Court complaint on June 13th, revealing herself as the woman who accused Combs of a years-long pattern of abuse, manipulation, and control that allegedly took place from 2020 until his arrest in September of 2024. Now, in the filing reviewed, Lovelace basically said that Combs allegedly forced her to have intercourse without her consent, rugging her and then impregnating her, and that Combs and his staff recorded their encounters without consent. The woman said she later had a miscarriage in 2022, but she was still dating him up until 2024. Now, on the stand, Perez, now Jonathan Perez, again, is one of Diddy's former assistants. Do you all notice one thing I'll say about this? Let's talk about it, because one thing that I don't like about Diddy, well, there's a myriad of things I don't like about Diddy, but one thing that nobody has said anything about, have you all noticed how Capricorn Clark was not making as much money as the males that were assistants for Diddy? Capricorn was making about $65,000. These men were making like over at least $85,000. And then let's not forget how she said that Diddy owed her $80,000 in overtime pay, which she never got. And that when the HR department gave her the paperwork acknowledging that she was owed this money, Diddy ripped it up right in her face. Okay, I'm just saying it reeks of male chauvinism. It reeks of male chauvinism, okay? Now, that's just my opinion. JC Talks Trial said, but Maya did get her extra money. Right. So, here's the thing. Cerebral said this whole debacle was based upon a partially shown video of Cassie in that hotel, not defending any person, man or woman, putting their hands on anyone. The video only showed what happened. There. Okay. We the people said R. Kelly needs a doctor, not to be thrown away for the rest of his life with his general wealth, and Diddy needs a fair trial. B1. Listen, I'm all for everybody getting a fair trial. I mean, because here's the thing. At the end of the day, don't they have enough allegations against Diddy, and don't they have enough charges against Diddy that, quite frankly, I'm pretty sure he's going to be found guilty. Okay, I'm pretty sure he's going to be found guilty regardless. So what's the need of taking this man off the jury? Okay, somebody who's been sitting there paying attention, taking notes, being very attentive. Because, look, there's been some people that have nodded off. Okay. Sometimes it's long days and the testimony gets boring, and some people actually nod off. Okay. Please pay attention. And Xavier Donaldson brought that up yesterday as well, because absolutely some of these people nod off. So if the judge wants to uphold the integrity of the court, why didn't he say anything about the jurors that nod off and go to sleep? Okay. Because if you're nodding off, how the hell are you taking an adequate assessment of the trial? How come the prosecution isn't complaining about that? If the prosecution has time to worry about Diddy's facial expressions or whether or not he's nodding his head, why aren't they paying attention to or complaining about these jurors who are dozing off? Why aren't they saying anything about that? Why didn't the mainstream media say anything about it? Okay, I have questions. Now, I'm not going to point out specific jurors, but there are a couple of them. There are some cases where jurors have nodded off, like Xavier Donaldson brought up in court when he was making his argument to the judge yesterday about juror number 6 being dismissed. Okay, I just find it also interesting. But anyway, with that all being said, now Perez was on the stand and he recalled an incident in which Diddy, he was in his Los Angeles home when he allegedly heard Diddy's videographer yelling from another room. Now, when Perez went into the room, he found a video on a staff iPad of Jane Doe having sex with another man as Combs was in the background. Imagine that. Imagine working for somebody and you find something like that, or you see something like that on their iPad where their girlfriend, as far as you know, is having relations with another guy while your boss is sitting in the background pleasuring themselves. Ha! Can you imagine? I mean, I would be shocked and appalled, quite frankly. Now, about an hour or two later, Perez says that he told Combs about the video, asking whether he should delete it or lock it in a safe or something else. Later that day, Christina Coram, aka KK, arrived, and she also told Perez Perez also told her about the video. Now, Coram told him that in the future, things like that video should be brought right to her, and she would communicate them to Combs. I guess she wanted Diddy to be embarrassed by knowing that his staff had seen some of his freaky deaky stuff that he clearly had going on. Now, about 6 months after he saw the video, Coram pulled Perez to the side once again and asked him about it. She said she got a call from someone outside the company about the video, and she wanted Perez to tell her again exactly what happened, beat by beat. Coram recorded their conversation, and the court heard audio of the interaction. Yeah, we absolutely heard it. Now, in the audio, Perez explained that a videographer said, "There's something on the iPad that I shouldn't be seeing," and he saw it while scrolling through the iPad's camera roll. Coram said, "We have camera footage at the house, so we'll be able to know exactly who was there." Perez said on the stand that he didn't want to delete it and then have it come up later. Now, in the audio, Perez says, "I think Mr. Combs might have thought that he'd been compromised in some way." In a text exchange with Perez, Coram, and Joey Chavez, another assistant, by the way, Coram continually checked in on the progress of the freak-off room setup. During the exchange, Perez and Chavez let her know that there were fruits, shakes, juices, and a pair of large shorts for Combs. One thing about it, honey, Diddy was going to get his freak on regardless, okay? Just think about the day that they arrested him when he thought he was going to turn himself in the next day. They beat him to the punch and came and locked his ass up. And here's the thing. Diddy was definitely looking like he was in the mood for a freak off. Okay. He already had his little Tucci out there at the hotel. Okay. Astroglide and Baby Oil were on deck. Diddy said he was going to have one more tryst before he was taken away in handcuffs. Mel said Diddy acted bulletproof. Okay. Honey, this is all absolutely so nefarious. But I tell you what, there's nothing like being there in the actual courtroom and hearing all this salacious information for yourself and just seeing how everything really plays out. Now, when Kanye West showed up yesterday, we know that he's been basically standing up for Diddy, saying free Diddy. I told you guys that it was told to me, and I can't substantiate it, but someone said that Kanye's the one who funded those free puff shirts, and I wouldn't be surprised because that sounds exactly like a Kanye West move. Okay, I think that once Kanye got there and they told him that he was going to be in that second overflow room, that he didn't want to be in there by himself, that he really wanted to cause a whole distraction and wanted to be in there, just so everybody can have all eyes on him. Now, that's just my opinion. Everyone seemed to have been so intrigued when they found out he was there. Okay, he sat in that room for about 10 minutes or less and watched a bit of the testimony before he got up and left. I guess Kanye said, this ain't it, and this ain't what I came here for. Now, the rapper was then seated in the front row of the overflow room 23B, watching the monitor with his bodyguards. He wasn't seen saying anything, but one of his bodyguards turned to him and appeared to explain something. After about 7 to 10 minutes, he got up and they all left the courthouse. An unnamed security guard alleged that Ye was at the courthouse the day prior for an hour. Okay, the reports of sightings, reports or sightings did not surface. Well, they did say that he was there the day before. I didn't see him, but that is what the word was on the street. So anyway, what do you all think? Do you all think that there's bias going on in here? Do you all feel like, hey, that crazy beach Aries? Okay, listen. So do you all think that this trial is, taking on racial bias, racially charged elements? What do you all think? And I'll tell you something else too. There's one of those people in the courtroom, one of those marshals that absolutely talks crazy to Black people, talks to Black people in a very rude, nasty tone, almost like you're his damn child. But I saw him go up to a white man yesterday who had his phone out. I'm sorry. I thought phones weren't allowed in the courtroom, except for attorneys. That man was clearly not an attorney. At least I don't think he was. He was sitting over there with the regular people. And I saw the marshal go over to him and he was like, yeah, you're going to have to put your phone away till you leave out of court. He said it in a nice voice. Okay. He said it real nice and politely, just like those racist cops who pull Black people over. What are you doing? You know why I pulled you over? Get out of the car. But then when a white person gets pulled over, hey, how you doing today, buddy? You know why I pulled you over? So Terrion says, let me put this up here on the screen. Terrion says, name any white celebrity been in court ever that you hear shish like this. Never. No, you don't. That's how you know it's racial bias. You will never hear the prosecution complaining about a white man that's on trial, no matter what it's for, telling him to fix his damn face. You will never hear them say, oh, he's nodding, he's smiling, he's doing this and that when his attorney's on cross-examination. You'll never hear it. Because they don't care and they don't police them like they police us. And that's the fact of the matter. That's the fact of the matter. That's the problem that I have with the whole thing. But like I said, I'm just a little YouTuber. Not. Now let's talk about R. Kelly, because I find it all interesting that R. Kelly sitting up here talking about the government wants him dead. Let's get into it, because this is you know what? Hold on. Before we get into that, let's talk about this. Hold on. We'll get to R. Kelly in just a second. But there's an article that I saw this morning. At Sean Diddy Combs' trial, some online content creators are playing by different rules. They said the judge is taking measures to ensure the anonymity of accusers who testify, but leaks of their identities are highlighting a concern among a new wave of content creation. Well, if somebody is wanting to remain anonymous and you get online and you want to say their name, you want to expose them or dox them, well, you need to be dealt with, period. Okay? That's what you need. That's what needs to be done. And even if you do it by accident, because it's grown people, you should be a whole lot more responsible. Okay, in recent years, the defamation suit between actors Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and the shooting of Megan Thee Stallion by fellow rapper Tory Lanez put a new spin on how celebrity trials are covered, as content creators and vloggers flooded social media feeds with the most explosive moments. Now, the federal trial of Sean Diddy Combs is no exception. Each day outside a towering courthouse in lower Manhattan, a horde of traditional media outlets, online streamers, and curious spectators jostle to score a seat inside the main courtroom where Combs is facing trafficking and racketeering conspiracy and these charges that could result in a lengthy prison sentence if convicted. Now, when the proceedings pause for a lunch break or conclude for the day, it's the dozens of content creators who take center stage, scrambling to the sidewalks to set up their cell phone tripods and emote the latest testimony and courtroom drama for their eager followers. But with Combs' fate unfolding in a trial that is not being televised, the rush to relay every sordid detail and rack up views can pose challenges fraught with ethical issues as well. The real-life consequences came to light when two women who took the stand using pseudonyms were exposed when their presumed names were leaked online, highlighting how irresponsible behavior in this new wave of content creation can be harmful. Federal prosecutors said Mia, a former assistant to Combs, had her identity revealed by a YouTube streamer who has been in the courtroom, and her name was also posted on X, while another court watcher may have unmasked Jane as an ex-girlfriend of Combs who testified over 6 days. Jane's personal attorney told U.S. District Judge Arvin Subramanian last week that such posts and media outlets threatened her safety and privacy that led to the court's pseudonym order. Subramanian has said that he would consider specific media gag orders or barring violators from court in a trial poised to continue through early July. Revealing the name of Combs' accusers wouldn't necessarily impact the trial itself, since jurors aren't supposed to consume media about the case or talk about it to others. But it still represents a line that must be treaded carefully. This is what Mark Chukhow, a defense lawyer who handled racketeering cases as a federal prosecutor in Detroit, said, saying that if names are leaked, it could deter victims from coming forward in future high-profile cases because they won't believe that law enforcement insurances have their identities will be protected. Now, to help protect the accusers' identities, the court sketches of them released publicly have not included their facial features, and traditional media coverage of their testimonies hasn't included physical descriptions. Now, for the creator behind the YouTube account Make It Make Sense, which has more than 213,000 subscribers, shining a light on the accuser's experiences was an important reason to cover the trial. He temporarily moved to New York to be in the courthouse each day, saying, "Do not try to guess who Jane Doe is, please," he told his followers recently. "It's not a joke. She's supposed to remain anonymous." Now, the creator behind Make It Make Sense told NBC News after court ended this week that legacy media may understand the repercussions of certain actions, but there is a different attitude among some content creators who are attending these high-profile trials for the first time and seeking to go viral. Exposing people's names does not move the needle or change the story. This is what the channel's creator, who asked for his real name not to be used because of fears of his personal safety. One afternoon after Combs' trial let out, a woman who said that she works as a court employee gushed as she watched popular online streamers like the man behind Make It Make Sense leaving the courthouse. They're how I get my information, she said, and no legal background is required. Now, for some content creators, it's simply about fulfilling people's curiosity and their own. Michelle Bracey of Manhattan said that her TikTok account, Miss Knockout, has grown from 9,000 followers since Combs' trial began in mid-May to now more than 35,800. She said that she goes live in the mornings before the trial starts, sits in court where she takes extensive notes on a legal pad, and then returns outside the courthouse at the day's end, sometimes broadcasting through the evening. "I do follow the rules because of course it's TikTok and you don't want to be removed," Bracey says. "But I also make my coverage more relatable to people, and I stay in the middle. I'm not on this side, I'm not on that side. I just get the facts on both sides." Yeah, and that's exactly what we should do. The 2022 courtroom dispute between Depp and Heard showcased a new frontier among online content creation. The trial, which was televised, attracted droves of live streamers and spectators to outside of Fairfax, Virginia courthouse, where they could show their support for either side. online as well. Memes and hashtags, particularly one manufactured to support DEMP, popped up and gained billions of views on TikTok. Combs' case has not attracted that same groundswell as the initial appearance of people in the Free Diddy T-shirts early in the trial has subsided outside the courthouse now. But on days when certain witnesses have taken the stand, including his ex-girlfriend Cassandra Ventura and rapper Kid Cudi and Jane, their presence reinvigorates interest. Now, on Friday, the courthouse was buzzing with a surprise appearance by the rapper Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, who tried to get inside the main courtroom to support Combs and was ushered into a court overflow room where he stayed for several minutes. When he left, members of the media and vloggers ran for the elevators to follow him outside, sprinting across the promenade to catch him before a car could whisk him away. Okay, so with that all being said, let's talk about R. Kelly, because I'm just anxious to hear what R. Kelly has to say. I have not watched this video. I literally saw this morning right before I went live. Okay, so let's get into it. Like stuff, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. I'm going to share my screen. And this is a report from News Nation. Okay, here we go.
On P. Diddy, another pop music megastar, was charged with racketeering and sex trafficking, among other things. And he was convicted 2 times. R. Kelly has spent the last 3 years, almost to the day, in a medium security federal prison in Butner, North Carolina. His 2022 trial in Brooklyn ended with a sentence of 30 years. His 2023 trial in Chicago got him 20 years as well. And they're supposed to run mostly at the same time. But now R. Kelly wants out. And he says his life depends on it. He says that every minute he spends locked up at Butner, he is in danger. And why? The way his lawyers tell it, prison officials want R. Kelly dead. You heard me. The government, they say, has put a target on the singer in prison. And what's more, Kelly's lawyers say the Bureau of Prisons conspired with one of his fellow inmates, a member of the Aryan Brotherhood, to murder him. I'm joined now by Beau Brindley, attorney for R. Kelly. Mr. Brindley, I'm so glad to have you on the show. Thanks so much for being a guest. I mean, what I just read, what I just said, it just all sounds very fantastical. Do you have proof?
Well, the answer is we do have proof, and we appreciate the opportunity to be able to come on and talk about it. In terms of proof, the most powerful piece of proof I can provide is the sworn statement of the man who says that he was solicited to kill R. Kelly. Michael Glenn Stein has provided us with a full declaration signed, and he's given his willingness to sit down for a polygraph examination administered by either side to testify in court. He has given us the details of who solicited him and when. And I think that's the key here. These are not R. Kelly's allegations. These are the allegations being made by Michael Glenn Stein, who's the person who says that he was solicited to kill Robert and sent to Butner to do it from another facility. And we took significant time. Oh, I don't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I'm trying to put a lot of the pieces of the puzzle together as you're answering. And I'm just confused if this inmate allegedly said that the Bureau of Prisons sought him out to murder a fellow inmate. Why?
Well, that's an excellent question, and the answer to that is also pretty clear. Mr. Stein, in his declaration, has set forth the reason that was given. The reason is that Mr. Kelly was about to expose some facts that would be extremely inflammatory and damaging to the Bureau of Prisons and the Department of Justice. And because of that, the Bureau of Prisons instructed Michael Glenn Stein to go to Butner and execute R. Kelly. And Mr. Stein made clear and gave us extraordinary detail when we spoke to Mr. Stein. We didn't use this until we actually went down and met with Mr. Stein for hours. And he told us in extraordinary detail that this is not the first instance, that this happens all the time, that the Aryan Brotherhood has been directed to commit murders and beatings at the behest of prison officials for years. People have been killed who pose problems for officers, for lawsuits. And it happens, according to Mr. Stein. Not only will he tell you that it happens, he will explain, when given the opportunity, in great detail, all of these murders in which he has participated, which he has directed other Aryan Brotherhood people to do. This being the most recent.
Can I ask you to just, yeah, like murder's a big deal, right? I think we can all agree on that. And putting a target on someone's head, kind of a last resort. What kind of information are we talking about that allegedly R. Kelly is in possession of that would be unflattering to the government at a level that would, suggest that a hit was put on his head?
Well, let me say it this way. It's not allegedly having evidence. We do have evidence. And one piece of evidence we've already presented in the form of a signed declaration from Keyshawn Mogadamudi, Robert's former cellmate. And what he describes is having been solicited by prosecutors who are offering him a reduced sentence in exchange for stealing Mr. Kelly's privileged attorney-client correspondence, funneling it through an identified Bureau of Prisons officer, a corrupt officer, and then that was provided to the U.S. Attorney's Office. This man has made a statement. And both he and Mr. Stein are making statements that are absolutely not in their own personal interest. And yet they've done it anyway. And so we do have that evidence. And what that evidence means is we're talking about prosecutors and Bureau of Prison guards, not just guards, but officials, people that are officers. We're talking about these people committing crimes. The theft of Mr. Kelly's mail was a crime. And it was a violation of his constitutional rights. On top of that, there's another prison guard against which a lawsuit is pending, Tawana Ingram, who also stole other attorney-client correspondence.
Let me jump in here, because I've been around the block as you have as well. And if I had a dime for the number of inmates who lied under oath, on the stand, you name it, I'd be on a yacht in the Med. However, suggesting that the government thinks that this alleged behavior of a cellmate of R. Kelly's is so egregious that the only remedy is to solicit murder sounds a bit crazy. Again, given it would be their word against an inmate. So you see where I'm coming from, right? That's why it sounds fantastical. And I guess the other question to add to that is that if the threat is over, meaning the man allegedly solicited to kill R. Kelly has come clean and said, I won't do it, I'm going to sing like a canary instead.
Hey, it's Tish, as the sign says. I need you, and I need you with me.
Where's the threat?
The threat is the other members of the Aryan Brotherhood, another one of which has been identified, who has been asked to carry out what Mike Stein has been unwilling to do. That's what you have to understand. What we're talking about here is government officials who committed crimes, and people in the Bureau of Prisons that committed crimes. Crimes that the current administration, the current Department of Justice will have no sympathy for, I guarantee. And those people have benefited in going after R. Kelly and making their names and getting their publicity and all of that. And now the truth is they did it through constitutional violations. They did it through crimes. That Tawana Ingram, the Bureau of Prisons officer that stole his correspondence, there was a search warrant, they proved it, and they said they were going to investigate the U.S. Attorney's Office. You know what happened to her? She got her full pension. She walked away, retired, and was not charged. And she did it as an officer.
Well, let me
now,
ask
if there
you
was
this.
not corruption behind that, I don't understand how that could be.
Right, an inmate doesn't have a pension. So what would possibly be the incentive for an inmate to commit a murder in prison at the behest of the government? Like, what benefit? What do they get?
it depends on the circumstances. But Mr. Stein says is oftentimes what they get is the ability to traffic narcotics freely throughout the facility. What they get is the ability not to be searched. But in this instance, what Mr. Stein has clearly said he gets is the opportunity to be free. I mean, they have said to Mr. Stein, according to him, they have said that if he is to do this, he is a terminal cancer patient. He's going to die in the near future. That's a fact. And they have said that he will be transferred and he'll get the opportunity to walk away. And Michael Glenn Stein has a history of escaping from the Bureau of Prisons. He escaped previously. That's why he spent so long at the ADX Supermax in Florence. And all of a sudden, he was moved to this relatively low security facility at Butner and put near R. Kelly. That's a fact. And the other fact is, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say I'm out of time in this segment. However, I would like to keep the conversation going with you. I know you have other, options. You're suggesting that maybe even Donald Trump might consider pardoning R. Kelly, though I'm not sure what's in it for Donald Trump. Could you keep me apprised on your efforts to get him, ankle bracelet release and home detention, and your efforts in seeking a federal pardon? Can you keep us apprised on that?
Absolutely. We're going to seek every opportunity to, one, make sure that Robert Kelly doesn't get killed, and number two, to see that he is freed based on what we believe to be and will prove to be a corrupt prosecution, the kind of which President Trump has promised to eradicate. And I believe he's the only person. Two corrupt prosecutions? What? What was your question?
Two corrupt prosecutions? There were two separate ones. There were two separate ones.
Yes, but the evidence being provided was both of them. Okay. Absolutely. Both of them received.
Okay, keep me posted. I gotta go,
yes,
but Bo Brindley, I really appreciate. Sorry, we have some crosstalk, but I really appreciate this. Keep me posted, and we'll follow the story. Thank you so much.
Okay, I want you all to pay attention. I want you all to pay attention because she seemed like she just couldn't believe. Now, Ashley, I'm going to need you to do better, beloved. Okay, I like your reporting most of the time, but at the end of the day, she seemed as though she was perplexed, or felt like you can't believe an inmate, that an inmate cannot possibly give a credible testimony, which is interesting because criminals give testimony all the time that's deemed and viewed as credible. Okay, if you're a criminal and you're given immunity so you can go testify against somebody else, no one questions their credibility then. Okay, just because you haven't been convicted, because you've not been put on trial, because rather than putting you on trial and charging you for your crimes, you're allowed to go and testify against someone else. But you're still a criminal if you committed the crimes, right? So how does that make sense? I mean, that just is nonsensical to me at the very best. Okay, that's nonsensical. I'm just so done. Okay. Killer Rob said she's on a racial channel, and how can you take her opinion serious? Okay, I'm just saying it just doesn't make any sense to me. We have people who've committed whole crimes, and the feds have proof that they've committed whole crimes. Okay, in many cases, but they're granted immunity. Let's take Sammy the Bull, for instance. Sammy the Bull murdered or was part of murdering of 19 people. Now, he claims he didn't kill every last one of those people by himself. In some instances, he set it up. But the bottom line is he's murdered multiple people, and he's caused multiple people to be murdered, according to his own words. But they allowed him to get on the stand and testify against John Gotti when he was no better than John Gotti. And it was okay. His testimony was viewed and deemed as credible. But so because someone actually didn't get immunity, went to prison, was charged and convicted, they can't possibly give credible testimony. Please make that make sense. This is all so ridiculous. You know, the thing I hate about the justice system in America is it works however the hell they want it to work. Okay? They don't give a damn if somebody's a criminal or not. If your testimony is going to help them get somebody they want to get, then you're viewed as credible. That's just how that goes. Okay? This system is full of crap, period. And then you have prosecutors engaging in mountains of prosecutorial misconduct. Okay, and you have people who think with their emotions, and they don't think logically or exercise critical thinking skills. Because whether or not you like the person that's facing trial, the bottom line is no matter who you are or where you're from, you should always want justice to be served in a fair and equal fashion. That's what you should always want. Okay? That's what you should always want. You should want unbiased judges. You should want prosecutors who are ethical and who will not engage in prosecutorial misconduct. All right? And you should want witnesses and expect witnesses to get on the stand and tell the truth. And when they have been proven to be liars, they need to be called out. And if those liars have been given immunity, well, they need to be charged with perjury. Okay? And lose their immunity deals. That's how that should go. But, you know, like I said, it goes however they want it to go in this country, honey, at the end of the day. That's right. Mel said the system is just corrupt. I absolutely agree. So with that all being said, listen, I do think that Diddy needs to go to prison for some of the things that he's accused of. I think that he absolutely did them. But going to prison because the evidence deems that you're guilty is one thing. Not going because narratives are being painted and people are up here just doing all kinds of shady things that include racial bias. I'm not down with that, and I'm never going to be down for it. And I don't give a damn who's on trial. I'm not going to be here for that. Period. That's just me. Okay? And so anyway, with that all being said, honey, I hope you all enjoyed the broadcast. Please like and share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. And let me just say one more time before I leave out of here. It is in my opinion and my belief that there are some racially biased things going on. I do, in fact, believe that the judge is biased. I do, in fact, believe that the judge favors the prosecution, which that doesn't surprise me because I'm sure most judges likely favor the prosecution, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, justice should be fair, period. No matter the charges, no matter the person, okay? So I love you all to life. I hope you enjoyed this day. Until next time, beloveds, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember to keep the Most High first in your lives. And I will talk to you all again soon. And hold on. Anastasia's in the chat said, Queen, you a content creator and legal aid. Let me find out. Thank you, beloved. Okay. I just have a very good knowledge of the law because I went to school for criminal justice. Okay. But thank you, beloved. All right. So shout out to everybody who tuned in. All right. And I will talk to you all again soon. Enjoy the rest of this beautiful day, you guys. And listen, enjoy your strong end, not the weak ends, leaving you in a weakened state of mind. Till next time, peace.
With that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin? God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got